Al-Husayn, he says about those people. Now Al-Husayn, there's a whole story about that as well. Because Al-Husayn, he was essentially, actually we'll mention that story in a short while. So this is Al-Husayn. He says, he made a dua against the people who were the Shia, meaning the Shia who sided with him and his family in that tribulation. And he said, "O Allah, if you make them to enjoy for a while, then split them with a splitting, and split them into divergent paths, and do not make their rulers happy over them, for verily they invited us to support us, but then they showed enmity towards us and killed us." Right? Here, Al-Husayn, when he's making this dua, there's actually history behind this whole incident. Right? And we'll mention that history in a short while, inshallah. But basically, Al-Husayn, before he was murdered at Karbala, he made many, as is found in the books of the Shia, that he made many supplications against those people who initially they claimed to support him, then they backstabbed him. Then they're the ones who actually killed him. The Shia are the ones who actually killed Husayn. Right? They backstabbed him and they killed him. We'll come to that story in a short while. And likewise, Al-Husayn, he says in another supplication, he said, "You people, you hasten to give the pledge of allegiance like birds come, and you flock together like the flocking of moths, then you let go of all of that." He said, "May foolishness, remoteness and destruction be from the taghuts of this ummah, those who throw the books behind their backs. Then you fail us and you fight against us. May the curse of Allah be upon the oppressors." And so the point being here that there are many texts from Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn and Ali bin Al-Husayn as well. All of them who were basically reviling and criticizing these people who were in that time, who claimed ascription to Ali, but they were the most backstabbing of people, cowardly of people. Right? Now, this comes to the story of Al-Husayn. So we need to mention that as well, so you understand the history of why these people believe what they believe. So what happened is that with Al-Husayn radiyallahu anhu, when Muawiyah, who was the first of the rulers after the four caliphs, he was the first of the kings and the best of the kings in Islam. And so when he passed away, then his son Yazid bin Muawiyah, he took power. And he was based in Sham. And then he sent people out requesting that everyone come under his obedience, to give him the pledge of allegiance and to come under his obedience. So what happened is that all of the senior companions, they actually gave him the pledge of allegiance, because they know from the Sunnah it is to obey the ruler, whether he is sinful, whether he is righteous, to obey the ruler, because this is a command in the Sunnah. So the major senior companions gave him the pledge of allegiance. However, Al-Husayn and Ibn al-Zubayr, they didn't come under his authority because they had certain reasons. They felt that they didn't want to come under his authority. And what then happened is that from Kufa, so remember there's Sham over here and there's Kufa over here in Iraq, and then down here we have in the peninsula, Makkah and Medina, where the companions were present. And so when Yazid, he made this request, and then many of the companions, the senior companions, they came under his authority and they gave the obedience. But Husayn and Ibn al-Zubayr, they didn't give the pledge of allegiance. Now remember, all of this is following on as tribulation from the initial murder of Uthman. Right? These are all things which are happening as a consequence of the initial murder of Uthman. So then what happened is that there were large groups of those Shia in Kufa who had been on the side of Ali previously. Right? Previously, before, when the issue of Uthman happened, and there was difference of opinion between Talha and Zubair and Ali, and the issue of the camel, the battle of the camel took place when the Saba'iyya got involved and stirred that tribulation. So those people who were from the Shia of Ali who stayed with him, there were large groups of them in Kufa. What they began to do is they began to write letters to Al-Husayn in Makkah. And they would say to him, "Come to us. There's so many of us. We will give you the pledge of allegiance. Come, lead us. Be our leader." And so when these letters were coming to him, he sent a man by the name of Muslim bin Aqil. This man was called Muslim bin Aqil. So he sent him to go and investigate, see what's happening here, and see, is there really this type of support there? And so Muslim bin Aqil, he went to Kufa, and in Kufa he found, or it is in some reports, that there were 18,000 people. 18,000 people in one report, and some other reports mention 40,000, much more. That this number of people gave him a pledge of allegiance, that we are now, under your authority, under the authority of Al-Husayn, that we are with you, we support you, and so on and so forth. So when Muslim bin Aqil, when he turned up in Kufa, he was hosted by a man called Hani bin Urwa, who he stayed in his house. But Muslim bin Aqil, when he came, and he came face to face with these people who were supposedly from the Shia of Ali, meaning those who sided with Ali in the fitna, he saw from them certain things. He saw that these people are very quick to change colour. They're like chameleons, very quick to change colour. And he saw that historically as well, these people had behaved in a certain way with Ali and with Al-Hasan. They'd acted treacherously with respect to them. So he wasn't totally sure. He wasn't really 100% sure of these people. Are they really, firm in what they are saying or not? So what happened is that Al-Husayn, when he received word from his representative Muslim bin Aqil that yes, there is a large number of people here ready waiting for you, he then set out. Al-Husayn then left Makkah to go to Al-Kufa. Now when he did this was his ijtihad. He was advised by many of the senior companions, such as Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu, and Ibn Umar, and Ibn al-Zubayr, and Jabir bin Abdullah, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As radiyallahu anhu. These are all from the major senior companions, and they advised him, do not go. But he made his ijtihad, and he was also advised by his brother Muhammad bin al-Hanafiya not to go. But anyway, he left, and he was warned by some of these companions and some of his brother that these people in Kufa, they are treacherous. They are treacherous people. Do not rely upon these people. But anyway, he left. He made his ijtihad and he left. And even when he left on his journey, as he was going on his journey, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu and Muhammad bin al-Hanafiya, his brother, they actually went out on the journey to meet with him at a certain place and to tell him, don't go. However, qadar Allah, it was the decree of Allah that he would remain firm upon his decision, so he left for Kufa. Okay, so now Al-Husayn is on the way to Kufa from Mecca. Now what's happened is, meanwhile, when we go back to Kufa here in Iraq. So over here there's Yazid bin Muawiyah, and he's heard that there's like a opposition to him in Kufa. So he sends an army general. This army general is Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. So he came with a large army. When he came with a large army to Kufa, then those Shia who were from the Shia of Ali, who gave the pledge of allegiance to the representative of Al-Husayn, who was called Muslim bin Aqil. Remember, this man, Al-Husayn sent him to Kufa, and he was given the pledge of allegiance. When these people learned that this army commander has been sent by Yazid bin Muawiyah, and he came into Kufa, they changed sides. They basically stabbed Muslim bin Aqil and Al-Husayn in the back. Right? So basically they abandoned Muslim bin Aqil. They left him until Muslim bin Aqil, as is mentioned in the narrations, that he was basically literally left on his own as a single man. Not a single one of these people remained with him. Right? So they just deserted and abandoned him. And what happened as well is that this Muslim bin Aqil and Hani bin Urwa, in whose house Muslim bin Aqil was staying in Kufa, and a third person, Abdullah bin Yaqtar. They were deserted by the Shia, and when Ubaydullah bin Ziyad came with the army, these three were captured and they were killed. They were killed by Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. But before he was killed, Muslim bin Aqil, he'd managed to send a letter to Husayn. And Husayn was on the journey to Kufa. And in this letter, he said, Muslim bin Aqil, he informed al-Husayn that the Shia have deserted me and you should turn back. There's no point in you coming to Kufa because these people have been treacherous and they've deserted us. So you should turn back. And so what happened is that those people who came with al-Husayn, there were a large number of people who came with al-Husayn, those people also then left al-Husayn and started making their way back to the home or whatever else, until there was only al-Husayn left with his family members. So then what happened is, when they were on the journey, they decided to, instead of going towards Kufa, they turned westwards and they came towards Karbala, which is coming back this way now towards the place called Karbala. And so they came to Karbala. And it is here then that when they came to Karbala, that al-Husayn, this is now in Iraq, he began to speak about these Shia, calling them, as is mentioned in narrations, even in the books of the Shia, that because of the fact that they backstabbed, this backstabbing that they did, that they are taghoots and they are criminals, and many of these things which are narrated about them. It's a sermon that he gave, in fact, and the sermon is documented in the books of the Shia themselves. So then what happened is that whilst they arrived at Al-Karbala, there were some discussions that were taking place between Al-Husayn and a representative of that army commander who'd been sent by Yazid. This army commander was called Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. You remember him, right? He came to Kufa with his army, and then all the Shia, they left Muslim bin Aqil, who's a representative of Al-Husayn. Right? So now what's happened is that when he's reached Kufa, this commander Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, he sent a representative to go to see where Husayn is. And this individual was a person called Amr bin Sa'ad. Amr bin Sa'ad. When Amr bin Sa'ad, he came to Al-Husayn, Al-Husayn said to him, look, there's three things that you should do with me. There's three things. Either you take me to Yazid. Take me to Yazid. Because he knew that Yazid would not kill him. Pay attention to this. He said, give me one of three options. Give me one of these three choices. Either take me to Yazid, because he knew that Yazid would not kill him, or I will turn back and I'll go straight back to the Hijaz. I'll turn around and go straight back to the Hijaz. Or number three, take me to one of the far off border regions of the Muslims and I'll just remain there, and that's the end of it. Right? So he said, look, just give me one of these three options. And what happened is that these three requests, like any one of these three requests, wasn't accepted by Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, who is the army commander of his own accord. Right? That's his. He said, no, we're not accepting any of that. Then what happened is that this was what led to the battle eventually. Right? Because these three proposals, one of these three proposals wasn't accepted. Either take me to Yazid, I'll just turn back and go back to the Hijaz, or just take me to one of the distant border regions of the Muslims and I'll just live there and remain there and whatever. So it wasn't accepted. So then what happened is that from Kufa, this man Amr bin Sa'd, who was the delegate of Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, he brought with him a group of people, and these groups of people were ones who were from the Shia. They were from the Shia, who were previously with, ascribing to Ali. And these people came, and amongst them was a man called Shammar bin Dhil Jawshan. Shammar bin Dhil Jawshan. And he was the one who actually killed Al-Husayn, radiyallahu anhu. And so a group of them came, and obviously the battle is mentioned in a great detail. So Al-Husayn, he defended his family, and they killed all of his family. But these people are from the Shia of Ali, the ones who killed him. The Shia themselves, they killed Husayn bin Ali radiallahu